a seat to the bar and join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tansen, Jess, and Maggie bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk. Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 10.12, Sleep is God, where we are covering the novel Death Masks. My name is Tansen, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello.
And Jess.
Would you guys help me with my shout out? On 3, okay? I want to do a shout out for the Discord, okay?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Ready?
Sure.
1, 2, 3. Fuck you, Sam!
Oh, that's what we were saying.
I thought it was implied. Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us to do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at www.patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
Chapter 14. Harry makes it back home in time to answer a call from Waldo Butters, telling him the germs from the corpse have disappeared. Susan comes for a visit, and the two come to an agreement about their future.
Such as it is, or lack thereof.
Yeah.
So yeah, he takes his pounded on head, his punching bag noggin, and crawls home.
Swiss cheese brain.
It's like a Picasso painting at this point.
I like that.
Yeah, things have been knocked over to the wrong side a few times. But it's nice. At least he managed to not throw up all over himself. So, you know, the day's a win there, Harry. You're ahead of the game.
All right.
Yeah. So he goes home and decides to update Father Vincent. And is all like, so I kind of had a thing. I found it, and then I lost it. And he's like, what? Why did you call me? I'm like, what do you think I'm doing now? It's like, so this is, like,
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yeah, right? He's kind of over Vincent right now. He's like, dude,
Fort Hills... No.
Fort Hills or
In
Vincent's?
Vincent's.
Okay, good.
I thought it was Vincent Fort Hills, the full name, for a second there. In Vincent's defense, Harry doesn't have a good reason to not have a cell phone.
Well, yeah.
As far as he's concerned. Everyone else is like, you can only contact Harry on a Monday after 3 when he finds a phone booth and gets really lucky.
Still, though.
Everyone else has an Nokia brick.
Yeah.
Even if he had, though, what are you gonna do? Like, okay, I've got it, but I'm fighting a demon right now. Can you hold for a sec? Like, you know
I
mean?
agree that Vincent is being unreasonable here.
He's still, I'm like, I think this is still pretty much as soon as you're gonna call anyways, regardless of whether he could have called him immediately, but yeah, right? He's just like, had a lead, it was good, but they got away with it, And he's all like, oh, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, okay, granted, you haven't even given him a chance to tell you. Like, all he said so far is like, ooh, I was right there. So I kind of get a little bit, like, you're right, you're trying to track something down and be like, why'd you let it get away? But it's like, dude, you have no idea what he just went through. Like, this was not just like...
for all he knows, Harry's a liar, though. He's like, I totally found it, man, it was right there, but then I buffed it, oh no, but like... pay me another day or two and I'll definitely track it down.
I suppose, but I guess. But, it's like he doesn't even give him a chance to say, like, well, we just had, like, a, no holds bar blowout kind of a thing.
I'm calling you from the ER right now, bitch.
But it's like, but he's like, so you have? He's like, well, not strictly speaking. I'm like, not even loosely speaking. Like,
you don't have it.
But I love it. He's like, yeah, but I love kind of when he says, he's like, oh, so they all like turned on each other or whatever, right? And he's like, no, a third party made a grab for it, and then blah, 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 and she ran, and he's like, and you didn't chase her? She ran really fast. Like, Harry's like, fuck you, okay? Like, dude. So, yeah. And then afterwards, and he's like, oh, he's like, you didn't see a fit to swallow her. You know, he's all like making fun of him or whatever. He's like, I'm gonna ring your bell and let you go say mass.
So rude.
I love that moment. Like,
It's just like, it's so like...
where he's complaining to Mr. Mr. gave me a look as if to say I shouldn't say such things about paying clients. I glared at him to let him know that I was well aware of it. I'm like, is this a sign of the concussion, or is he always...
No, I think these are just Harry.
Harry.
I mean, I definitely have those moments with my cats,
But
too.
still, I'm gonna beat up a priest right before he goes to mass. Like, seems a little harsh.
Well, it is. It's so funny because it's like, I'm like, okay, you might get a job to job or whatever, right? Like, yeah, basically, he's like, oh, you just went and got beat up. Just keep following it. Go catch them. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, same thing. That's your job, right? It's like, I'm just ring your bell. You can go say mass or whatever, right? But it's funny because every time I listen to it, except for like now that it's been like the 470th time within like a week, but it's like my brain always wants to be like, Mr. looked at me as if you shouldn't say such things about like a clergyman or a man of the cloth, and it's just like paying clients. It's not even that. My brain always wants to like, you shouldn't say such things about like a holy man, you know? And it's like, no, it's not even just that. It's like, okay, the man's paying me, so you know.
Don't bite the hand that feeds.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
Oh, Harry.
Oh, Harry. Yeah, it's like, I don't care. So then he does his little scribble thing that we all learned to do as a kid and thought was like the coolest thing ever.
Yes, Marriott and 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what he received from it.
Yeah, So, I love how he goes through this whole little thing to you, because I was like, that's so me so much of the time. Is that I'm sure like I come off as a total flake and everybody's like, you don't think anything's through. And I'm like, no, the problem is I overthink everything to the point where it's, I'm like, I either run out of time on something or I've suddenly gone from like A to X and like, I don't even remember how I got there anymore. And, but he's all like, yeah, he's like, it could be like a name. And he's like, oh, it could be the hotel, right? Makes sense. And he's like, or like something else or like a name or maybe like a French word. And he's like, Harry, okay, stop making it so complicated. And I'm like,
overthinkers make really good problem solvers, though.
Eventually we do. Yeah. It just depends.
Because you think of every single aspect.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're right, you can come up with something. But boy, when you're trying to like take in a test or something and you're on a time limit, then is not the time, let me tell you. So yeah.
The answer is C. The answer is C. The answer is C.
It's kind of funny. We used to do this back in school. There's like this provincial math test thing or whatever that our school used to go into. So we all had to do, when you were in grade, everybody had to do it, kind of a thing. And I mean, I was never going to be one of the top. But it's funny because they're telling you and going through and they're like, go through and like answer what, if you're not sure about anything, leave it, come back to it, kind of a thing, right? So you can get as much done. And then he's like, in worst case, like when you're down to the last minute, and they're like, it's funny because I remember them specifically saying it's not, don't do like A, B, C, they're like, just pick one and fill everything in, because statistically, right, if you make them all. But it was just like so funny having like our math teacher at like our private school kind of a thing and just be like, hey, when all else fails, just pick the same one and fill them all in with that.
Right. I think I read somewhere that statistically the answer is more likely to be C, though. Like somewhere along, like for whatever
some reason they always choose
it's
C.
Yeah, probably to give you that throw off kind of a thing or something, and then not throw, but yeah.
See, that goes against the whole Monty Hall thing. It's like statistically speaking, you'd have to change it after halfway.
Monty Hall is in like the game show.
Yeah, like between you have to choose the doors, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's like the statistics change after, if you like stick with like door A the whole time and then they get rid of door C and they're like, do you want to change? Your chances of getting it correct if you change are higher than if you stay the same. Even though obviously the object hasn't moved behind the doors, but statistically speaking, the
yeah.
Well, that's cool.
See, it's fucked.
Yeah.
Right? Just those, man.
But I guess in the middle of your test, they're not removing D halfway through.
They're not.
So.
No. Unfortunately.
Harry tries to take a nap, but he's interrupted by a call from Waldo Butters.
Yeah.
He lets Dresden know the germs are gone as soon as sunrise hits. Vampire germs? The tiny capes are a dead giveaway. Harry explains to Butters about the magical reset.
I love it so much. He's like, oh, vampire. And even this whole thing is he's like, you're just like degrading into this like monolith, right? And he's like, poof. And he's like, sunrise, poof. And he's like, vampire germs?
And he goes on to explain to Butters about the magical resets at sunrise. So he's like, magical germs? Or magic germs?
Yeah.
But I love that Butters just takes Dresden at his word and like just asks for a cheat sheet on magic. Is just like, what up, no, this is good.
Right?
This is good.
It's like you can feel like this doesn't, right? Because again, obviously he's kind of being a bit of a smartass, right? He's like, vampire germs, to which, Harry is appropriately smartass back, and then he's like, oh no, but seriously, like, yeah, Sunrise is gonna, so then he still kind of is like, okay, so not vampire, but they're still magic germs. They're still going poof with the sunrise. I'm okay.
See, and you expect the scientist to be the one that would be like, no, magic doesn't exist. No.
And it
He's
helps
just like,
too.
Dude, this is cool. Awesome.
Right?
Yeah,
And it helps too, though. He's got, like, Murphy's seal of approval. And for Butters, that's good enough. He's like, I don't believe in magic, but I do believe in Murph. Murph says you're legit. All right.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, right, is exactly, and I think that is part of it, is that he is the man of science, but to the point where he's one of the ones willing to keep the open mind, right? Because again, science is a lot about that too. It's like, don't assume your conclusions before you've done everything, right? So there is a little bit of that, yeah, I need to see it, I need the cold hard facts, but at the same time, he's that, again, in theorizing and coming up with something, he's like, well, all new discovery has to come somewhere, right? And again, Murphy's seal of approval but I think the other thing here too that's easy to forget is what Murphy said about him when we first met him, which is that Butters was the one who did the autopsies after Bianca's. And Butters went to a psych ward for 3 months because they're like, what the fuck? They can't be human-like, but not human.
He's Mulder.
And he stuck to it. Yeah, and he's like, no, this is, like, I don't know what the fuck it is, but this is not a human corpse. Until, they threatened him with his job and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, finally he's like, okay, fine, I guess they were just weirdly twisted in the fire.
Oops, I was wrong.
Yeah.
At which point you imagine Murph probably shut up and was like, hey, Butters, let me tell you something.
And
you
so,
should probably just say whatever they want to hear, and I'll tell you what's up.
Yeah, so obviously Murph has been dealing with him longer, at least these past couple of years since then, and probably longer, because again, as we know from every cop show out there, no cop show is standard without the local ME. That's as much a main character as the rest of them, So it's like, so I'm sure they've had lots of time to interact over this. And yeah, Murphy's probably, whether on purpose or, but, again, whether it's just weird things that have been mentioned, whether she's like, hey, I think this was a demon, or whether, just strange things the SI guys have talked about, or other things that have come in. So I think that's part of it. It's like, he's like, he kind of can't not either. Can't not acknowledge it.
Can't not neither.
That
was a lot of.
He can't not neither. Yeah, it's like
I get so confused with double negatives.
That's why I threw in a triple one to even it all out.
That would audit out.
Audit out. So yeah, so much. I love this whole exchange now. So Butters is like, and again, right? Ever be the practical? It's like, yeah. Is there somewhere like, can I get like a book? And Harry's just like, nope, just me. And I mean, I'm almost surprised because he was so grumpy and so ready to go to bed in the first place. Like, I probably would have just been like, fuck you, and let the phone ring, right? So it's like, it's kind of, I guess he does have a whole active case going on, I guess maybe, and Susan around, so maybe there was more to the...
Plus telemarketers at that point in time, somebody actually calls him, it's for a reason.
Yeah, maybe, but he starts, but I mean, again, he really does very quickly, it's like, oh, it's Butters, you're looking, and he, again, like, he's like grumpy, surly, short answers. But ultimately,
when the conversation turns into something that you're interested in, right?
Exactly,
and you're like,
right.
Actually,
He's
okay,
like,
wake up a little.
Exactly, right. And I mean, again, I think, and I know this is what endeared me to Butters very quickly and stuff like that too, is that they're very much on that, right? Butters is just like the wisecracking and the making the comments, and Harry can appreciate, you know what I mean? Like, he throws out sunrise poof, and Butters immediately rejoins with like vampires, and he's like, yeah, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, he rolls with Dresden very well.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're gonna be...
Yeah, fast friendship.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So Butters goes on to explain that the cuts are surgical in nature and partially cauterized as well, and it's better than a surgeon could manage, and that there's still no ID on the body.
Yeah.
No idea.
And he's confused about how they could all be so, because he also gets it confirmed from Murph or whatever it is, he says that they were all made by the same object. So these tiny little precise, 1-inch grid marks plus just hacked off the head. I'm like, yeah, because... again, most surgeons will use a nice little scalpel to do delicate, not so much for taking off a head, right? So, it's kind of interesting. I don't know at this point if Harry is just, again, because he's half tired or hasn't connected the separate things that they might be together. Having just come from where he just came, and having just done our whole 3-hour-long hair discussion in the last one. Butters is, because we're all like, what can make 1-inch precise cuts and hack off? And Harry's like, a sword? And we're like, maybe, like, I don't know, my brain is going to the big, so is this like, I'm like, is this just us jumping ahead of the game because, as the reader, or is Harry just like, I don't want to tell him about this big crazy demon thing yet, so, hey, a sword could be, or, just that.
He's good, guys. He hasn't put it together yet.
Right, but yeah, it was just, I'm like, okay.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, right. I'm like, well, I don't know, they were all these tiny, sharp little 1-inch sections, and then it was also, like, all this huge mass and length behind it, but yeah. So whatever, it's just a sword, and Butters like, I guess I have to be pretty sharp, and Harry's like, yeah, I've seen a few of those.
Yeah.
So, presumably, hopefully, not one of the knights that did that. I mean, unless this guy's a super bad guy, but again, the knights don't usually have to clean up, they don't usually, you know what I mean? Like, normally they would just...
God provides
exactly.
a body bag.
Exactly. They would either be, like, standing next to the body and be like, oh no, it's cool, he was a bad guy, and it would all be fine, or the body would just have disappeared and nobody would be there to ask questions, so... But yeah, it was just funny because those are the only other ones we've really seen much of anywhere, and specifically in this story. It's like the first place he goes to the swords, and you're like, well, the only swords you've seen are Michael, Shiro, and Sonia. But anyways.
I think this is one of the best lines I've ever heard comes up from Butters. Sleep is God, go worship.
Yes.
I love that so much.
That might be my new mantra. Sorry, Mom.
I do like, though, that just before that, Harry tells him to go tell Murph all this information. He's like, yeah, I did. She's the one who told me to call you.
Yeah.
Because it's much more of the, like, interesting. We all work together. Murphy's much more in on this. Dresden wants Murph to be in on the loop. Murph wants Harry to be in on the loop. We're all good about this.
Yes, no more have to keep secrets and can't tell you about the mystic woohoo.
The team is gelling.
And on top of that, it helps, for Butters to be brand new to the scene. He's like, wow, you guys are really, like, good with each other. Like, you guys are, like, such a team, and it, like, makes this united front, and it's, like, a whole new attitude for Butters to come and see.
Again, makes it more believable and stuff, too, rather than these two-part, like, somebody he knows, and then somebody he's kind of getting to know, and having, like, these diametric and opposing, and it's like, oh, they're so on the same page. So it makes it that much more believable as well. Because, like, well, Murphy's telling me this, and Dresden basically just backed it all up. So I get, to a point, right? So
it's just, it's a... Butters came in at a good time, too, for that, right? Like,
Yeah.
It wasn't like he came in the midst of, like, oh, I'm being pulled on either side, and who can I trust, and which one of you is, like, real about it, and who would... Now it seems to be much more just like, wow, look at this big, happy family. You guys are great.
Exactly. From our point of view, exactly. Yeah, no, for sure. And he did. I mean, he usually does. It's not very often Butcher introduces a character that I'm like, oh, that would maybe Elaine, but let's not go there right now. But
what did you just say?
Not the E word.
Not the E word. Yeah, again, right? I was like, I loved Butters pretty much from like, literally the first introduction. You walk into the Emmy's office and you can hear like polka music, and already you're like, I want to meet this guy. Like this is a, So yeah, I love Butters. Again, quick wit and willingness to just snark it up with Harry, and like professional, but also, come on, let's be real, Yeah. So yeah, he
goes to worship.
Very yeah. Well, he does.
He seems quite he's feeling quite silly. After a knock at the door, he quips about having trap doors for uninvited guests.
Yeah. Which,
I mean, the guest this time is Susan. He's probably glad that there isn't a trap there.
Okay, well, although I don't know, maybe he would love to swing her down into his little booby trap dungeon too. But you can't go anywhere now, can you, Susan? Break up with me now, bitch.
Wow.
Mine forever. As someone who has, with severe sleep issues, who has got to this point, especially when my children were small, and I'd be like, I just need like half an hour, and then like, and the kid.
Sorry for trying to love my mom. I wanted to include her in my life. Gosh.
Yeah, no, it was the fact that you were trying to murder your sister, so I had to get up and intervene, But yeah, but
you
same
didn't.
thing.
You could have let it happen.
When somebody would come and like knock on, actually. It was even worse because, which I discovered as part of the narcolepsy thing, is auditory hallucinations are apparently like a big thing. And because so many times I would be laying down and I would
because you're dreaming.
Swear to God, I'd hear the doorbell. But yeah, so I have very much had that feeling of being just about falling asleep and either literally or thinking I hear somebody at the door and having to get up to go see what it is. And man, I want nothing more than to just reach over and hit that button and send whoever that is.
Depends on if they're holding pamphlets.
Especially
Yeah,
if
say, I
they're
was like,
I
holding
would rather an ejection
pamphlets.
thing, though. Like,
You guys and Harry, you're being very dramatic. You know what me and my roommate just do? Don't answer the fucking door. You don't need a trap door. You just don't answer it. It'll
curiosity
go
always
away.
gets the better of me, so I'm always like...
Well, that's part of it. Part of it is always like, is this something I might need to,
If it's someone I want to see, they'll text me on that side.
And there has a big shift with...
Do you remember the part where I said, like, especially when my kids were little? Remember what Tanzan said, like, half an hour ago about the big, blocky Nokia? Right? Okay, there wasn't a fucking cell phone to have. This is the problem.
Oh, yeah, you guys are so old.
Sometimes people actually just showed up at your door because...
They were driving in the neighborhood, and
Yeah,
they're like, well...
and sometimes those people were like your ex-husband and the father of your children, so you especially needed to know whether you should or shouldn't answer the door at that point. I'm like, do I make the kids be really quiet, or
I always had a habit of showing up to people's houses while they were calling me, like almost regularly, and
That's
they'd like
creepy.
answer the door and be like,
click. Y'all missed the hand-to-face gesture there, phone thing.
Phone gesture.
The phone gesture. It's so funny. Somebody
miming.
Phone miming. Somebody did that a while ago. I'm sure most people have seen it now, where it's like if you ask people that are like 24 and older or something, or whatever age it is right now, how they would mime being on the phone.
Surfer dude.
Yeah, and you get all us old folks have like the surfer dude, right? The thumb and the pinky. And then they asked a bunch of younger people, and they all hold their phone out their hand like just as if holding a cell phone, just in like a square
C-shape,
grip.
yeah.
A C-shaped sort of square grip, as opposed to the... And I'm like, oh my god, yeah.
right. Well, because like
Well, yeah, because they're just used to holding a phone. Whereas, I mean, the other one isn't how you hold it. It would indicate the receiver and the mouthpiece, right? But now that it's just a square, we don't, you know what I mean? It was just like, oh, it's really interesting. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't even really see the speakers on it. It's just a piece of glass.
It's just a square you hold in your hand, exactly. I'm like, it's not like the old receivers where they had, but I was just like, oh my god, that's so true. Like, you don't think about it.
Future man.
Yeah, exactly, right? Just one more of those things that has changed. Even our
I did see
miming.
I did see one video that was like, this woman is like, what we need is one phone for the household to share. And then this guy responds to it. He's like, I'm just old now, man. It's called a landline. It exists. It's a thing. Fuck.
You know those things that offices have? They used to be in the home, too.
Voice over IP.
All use the same one, just not at the same time.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as it sounds, lady.
See, it is still the pros and cons, right? Because I remember that when we first started moving over more to cell phones and things like that, too. And I'm like, again, especially when, like, grandma would call the kids, I'm like, well, it used to be all three of you could get on the phone and have... I was like, well, you can't, if I'm over at my sister's house and my mom calls, you can't be like, oh, hey, pick up the line and say hi to mom, right? I guess we have speakerphone now, but that's never as good, because that, when you have several people all trying to talk, you just get the cutty out thingy.
You can link in other people to a call, but that's difficult.
You can. You can do
I
three-way
don't think
calling.
anybody actually knows how to do that on a phone. I'm like, me.
I have done three-way calling if it's...
You've done 3 ways? Oh, my.
I'm in the room.
That's for other podcasts. So anyways, doesn't have the trapdoor. Much as you wish, you could just zap them into Marsh and the Marvin land. But yes, then it's Susan, so it's like, okay, fine. And it's cute, because she's like, you look like shit. He's like, yeah, I had a great day. She's like, can I come in? He's like, no scolding. Like, fine, but I know where you're going with this, and just don't.
Right, he's pretty grumpy about it.
Yeah.
He's like, kind of confronts Susan about doing a quick dump and run, and then insinuates something with Martin. But then he does take responsibility for it and about his irrationality and possessiveness. So he does know he's being a
Come to break up with me, and I know it's like, I get why you have the reasons for it, but you're doing it for Martin, who sucks, and I get why I can't be the guy, and I get that I'm not safe, and you have no choice, and you need to leave, and blah, 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 blah.
But I don't like it.
Not fair.
Not fair.
I've had too many of those moments. Like, crap. I don't like reading that part.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. But I mean, again, at least he has the good grace to at least sort of acknowledge it. Because mostly those conversations, in my experience, are just the whining and the complaining and the it's not. And it's like, dude, dude.
He's very self-aware in his whininess.
In his own way, right? Because it all started, right? Because it's like he comes in and he's like, complaining about the cold. So already he's like, I can suggest ways to warm up. Right? Knows that's... And again, I would just like to say for all you guys, girls, people out there, I want these guys that actually stop that second before the tape. Because again, pretty much anybody I've ever known would have been like, well, I know how I can warm you. At least Harry fucking stops right there. I'm like, I get you have the thought, but thank you for not being like a total creep on Susan 24/7. Because, oh my god, it's not as sexy or endearing or whatever you think it is.
It's not that,
There
are better ways to flirt.
Yeah. Pay attention to the books and the movies, at least in that part. I get, all of life can't be that way, but just occasionally, be more mature.
Well, Susan is very gentle with Harry. She does reassure him that she is not with Martin. She says that she thought it would only be fair to discuss things with him before ending it. Like, just, have an adult conversation.
Yeah, I understand the scare and why she ran away immediately the first time, like...
Whoa, this is big.
Yeah.
I need to figure this shit out.
And because, she did stick around Chicago for a little while, right? Like, she was going out and, spending time on the beaches. And she was just, trying to be her own person and try to take it calm and slow and process. Right? But there was a lot of distance between them. But eventually she had the need that she had to leave Chicago, right? And I understand that kind of, initial, big shit changes. But it is nice now to come back and be like, okay, I'm calm enough now that we can actually talk about this, I probably won't eat you during this.
So, yeah, she's had a minute to think about it all and come back. And, I mean, this is where she's kind of saying it's not... Because he's like, just like a drive-by dumping or what, and she's like, that's not fair, And it's like... because he's like, you'd rather be this is what you want or whatever. And she's like, it's not what I want, She's like, I don't like that this is going this way, and I would prefer if things could just, if you and me could have the happily ever after. But unfortunately,
just like we said with Butters, right? Like how he was just suddenly learning about this new world and rolling with it, right? That's Susan, but it's even harder because she had to give up everything to go learn about it now, right?
Well, yeah,
there's a lot of loss involved on her part.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was it. She was all about exposing it and being in on it and telling people about it. It's way different when it happens to you, reporting the news or being the news kind of a thing, right? So even though she believed in it all and she had... a relative... I mean, even Harry sort of says at the time it happened, she had an idea, but she was still learning a lot, right? When she first met Harry, she was all excited and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna soul gaze this guy, and got knocked on her ass kind of a thing, and was like, oh my god, there's so much more to it than just Grandma Betty is still living in the attic,
There's this theme, too, where, when people first come about it, they're like... ignore the Grandma Betty comment.
As opposed to people that have some I think there are spirits, I think there are ghosts, they're supernatural.
It's better if you don't explain.
Okay.
However, there are people that come and when, especially as we see from, the reader's perspective, right, that the first point of contact through the supernatural is Harry for a lot of people. And you get this sort of oh my god, well, at least this guy knows what he's doing. He's he's gonna protect me.
Fake it till you make it.
He's gonna protect me from it and save me from it. And there was a little bit, where eventually Harry was like, okay, Murph, you and SI know enough. You don't have to call me for everything, right? And Murphy's like, yeah, that's true. We do know enough. We don't need to call you for everything, right? And it gets a little bit to be where it's okay, Susan, you know enough. You don't need to call me for everything. You're just you are your own participant now, right? The alphas. He's like, they had to call him for everything. What's going on? Now the alphas are running around doing their own kind of bodyguard thing where it's not that necessarily surpass Harry, but you become, he stops being this bodyguard for you and you're just oh, I'm a player in the game myself now. And that's way different than just being here's my buddy, the supernatural guy, and oh, here's my coworker, the supernatural guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, having to deal with it on your own front and not being able to put it all on Harry is yeah, it's a big change, and I gotta go figure it out.
The crossover between the theoretical and the practical or whatever, right? So
and part of that, being entrenched in the world has meant that Susan has learned about the injustices that are happening outside of Chicago.
Right. Susan lets him know about her travels in South and Central America and the implications of the Red Court there. She continues to tell him that she's going to take a job to help how she can. And then she asks him to come with her.
Well, yeah, he's all well, I thought this was an hour decision. It's come into that. It becomes our, if you want to come, So it's like,
now that I've read a little bit ahead with like a few of the chapters to prep for today, I'm noticing like there is a bit of a theme of temptation for Harry this time around. And a lot of regards has to do with Susan.
I mean, the beginning of this book started with, like, a temptation to the vampire saliva, right? Like, he's been saying it this whole time. Like, he's just, like, seems to be on that cusp of it constantly, of just, like, everyone, good or bad, being like, okay, Harry, like, there's some more options out there, like...
Well, you're right, because he meets up with Susan fairly early on, and that's the thing, right? He's like that... he says, like, waiting for your next... Part of you is, like, horrified. Part of you is, like, when can I get my next fix? And then the whole bit with the knights and stuff like that, where they're like, ooh, these demon things are really, he's like, temptation, I can... but you know what I could do with that?
It keeps popping up.
And exactly.
There's going to be another in a couple chapters, too, when he's talking to Ortega at McAnally's, too, right? It comes up again and again, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that is totally, like, this book is Fallen Angels. That's the shtick,
well, I was going
right?
to say, it's fairly thematic.
It does make sense.
Temptation is the name of the game.
And it's again, I think, exactly spelling that out. Because we've seen, obviously, over the last few books, but now, again, there is more of a light being shone on it, and the things that Harry has been tempted with in the past, things that he has, when he's fallen for temptation, when he's been able to withstand it, and, kind of where is his line, and, or... now that he's older, mature, knows better, you know what I mean? Because again, right, there's things you'll fall for, as a younger kid, which is why you're kids and still have parents and things like that, right? That it's like, okay, once you're mature, you'd be like, oh, I know better.
You got a realm of experience to draw from.
Exactly. So that combination of, like, well, maybe you kind of knew better, but you weren't in a very good position to stand up against it, or you didn't know all of the facts, and that was why it was easier to, whereas exactly now, that, free ride is not always as, there's strings attached somewhere and stuff like that, right? So, so it's in some ways Harry is better about withstanding and being like, ooh, I know there's dark shit out there. I don't want to go down that path. They almost chopped my head off, and it wasn't, like, even my fault. Like, that was all self-defense, but they're like, no, and now between being like, well, but I can use power. Now I know how to use this power, and using it for, I mean, again, right, that's where most of us, like, as I say frequently, I'm like, well, if I ruled the world, this would be, you know what I mean? But again, you start handing me that kind of power, well, geez. You know what?
What you say frequently. And again. Sorry. I was waiting for it. I was like, and then you said it.
There you go.
Sorry. I know, I bug you a lot about that.
Yeah, I know, and I try
I'm going to start throwing pieces of popcorn at you every time you say it.
I try to be...
Except that's a waste of popcorn.
Yeah, it's the popcorn kernels.
Ching! Ow!
Go.
Hit your glasses. Ching!
I've got a kernel in my eye!
Oh, even better. I get one
of those not better.
Shock collars.
Again, I thought we were trying not to traumatize the children.
And then every time it'll be like Pavlov's gag. And good.
See, I thought that was going to go with, like, the marshmallow bow and arrow, but you just filled it with the popcorn kernels.
I have a chicken launcher. I have a rubber chicken launcher.
Just
how many rubber
chickens
do you have?
There are not enough rubber chickens.
Yeah. Does the marshmarshmallow launcher predate you? I feel like you might have been younger. I feel like it might have been.
Yeah, I think it predates.
I didn't know there were such things until I came across one, and I bought Jessica a marshmallow launcher,
bow and arrow
that you could stuff with the mini marshmallows.
That's incredible.
It was pretty cool.
Fun. It's pretty fun.
Except stale marshmallows everywhere.
Yeah, there was a bit of that, but eventually the cat and the dog ate them, so,
That's fine.
And if you could find them beforehand, you had fresh marshmallows.
Yeah.
So it's just...
Depending on how good my aim was.
Yeah, and how far they bounced. It was like you either got them right away or,
The dog did.
The dog did eventually. So it's all good. But, yeah. No, leave the shot collars off. Not again. It's for the other podcast.
We would kill her if we put one on.
Okay.
It's like that Simpsons episode where
the hamster training,
where the scientist like hooks all of them up and he's trying to train them to be nice to each other.
Oh yeah, they just keep doing it. Lisa and Bart steal the thing and get each other,
and they like zaps each other so much that they like blow the breaker for the whole city.
Yeah, it would. Yes, if it would be for those, common little bird whiskers that always, I'd be dead.
There'd be smoke coming out of our ears.
Be an improvement.
That hot.
So
temptation.
Harry does consider this for a moment, like just for a fraction of a second, but he's unable to leave his responsibilities behind, as tempting as it is. And the two come to the realization that they can't make it work for either of them right now.
Yeah. And that's her point. I don't want to break up with you, but I can't stay here in Chicago right now, and you can't leave Chicago and come with me. So where does that leave us? And I mean, she has a really cute moment a bit before, like, when he first is accusing her, you don't kiss Snoozy Martin that way. And she's like, Harry, I don't kiss Martin. He's like, you don't? You know, and she's like, God, she's like, I've never understood how you could be so smart about some things and, like, so stupid about others. Practice. It's like, and
it's very relatable.
It's very relatable, and she's like, "This is where right."
Who doesn't have these kind of insecurities? Come on.
Yeah, you know, and she's like, exactly. It's not that I want to run away from you. It's not that I want to go partner up with Martin. It's just I suddenly found out about this, you know, huge deal happening over here, and I mean, she does explain it to him here, right, where Harry is not aware of it. She's like, you know, got all the way down to South America, and they basically, they
have
set
farms.
up, they basically, these, like, people farm, you know, raise them like cattle, so you get, you know, somebody like Ortega with his big fancy manor out in, like, you know, rural, not well off, you know, Brazil or Honduras or wherever, you know what I mean, and he sets himself up as, like, the benefactor to this town, you know, here's this rich lord that can protect us and provide clean water for the town and resources and deals, and all we have to do is bleed a little once in a while, you know what I mean? And it seems like, and
we do it once a month. all the male listeners are like, ah!
Yeah, so basically these farms where they have trickling all the way down to the children, right? So however long this has been going on for, and again, we know Ortega is hundreds of years old, right? So, you know, so Harry is like, God, I didn't realize that exactly, you know, so I mean, again, he knows, you know, in the North American version, you know, the European, whatever, he pops over to, you know, wizard headquarters once in a while and stuff like that. And yeah, they know, oh, he snatched people off the street or, you know, this or that. But he's like, again, not seeing it this way. They're like, well, yeah, it's like, we don't have to just randomly go around and, like, snatch, you know, homeless people or you know, it's like, we just have them right there. They're willing, they're able. We're just, you know, indoctrinated, brainwashed, brought whatever, right? And again, that it becomes right down to, and he's like so disturbed by this because again, it's like, again, Harry being Harry doesn't like it anyways. That's the whole point, is he's there to protect Chicago from things like this. But now you've got, you know, all of the women, and not just like, oh, the occasional woman might get grabbed, but it's like all the women and the children.
He doesn't understand
like
the symbioticness of it, like that it could actually work.
Well, no, I think he does understand. He just doesn't like it. And I'm the same way, because again, he's thinking about it, you know, in like a grown adult to grown adult, fine. But then she's like, no, it's the whole town. They even feed off of the children. So yes, in one way, sure, like you say, you spread it out, you make it this symbiotic, but he can't get past that point. It doesn't matter.
But it's not exactly symbiotic. Like, I mean, no. Ortega parses it out to be like, well, you know, I'm helping them and they're helping me, but they don't have a choice. It's not like they're being paid money for it so that they can leave and go if they want to. Like, they've got no choice but to stay here and just accept the way things are, right? Like,
well, yeah, and I mean, again, it's sort of set up, I think, in the way that they have no reason. Why would you want to? Because he provides, you know, he makes sure they've got this nice little village.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's like if he was paying them for it, they would maybe be able to make a more fair decision. But it's like, well, I need to eat, I need to sleep, I need to be safe at night. I guess as far as things go, I might as well give up
sort
some
of influence. Once you're in, you can't get out.
Yeah, I guess I sort of wasn't looking at it exactly on the sense of that there's just enough that they can't get more of the point of, I don't need to leave. Why would I leave? I have everything provided for me here.
Well, especially if, you know, vampire venom feels good.
Well, and that's the other side of it, too.
Clean
that's
water.
what I'm saying, though. It's like, either way, it's coercion no matter what, right?
It is. It is.
They're happy little drug addicts with bonuses.
Yeah, but yes, exactly. Is that for, whatever the overall, whether, like you say, you've gotten far enough down it now where it's just like, this is the way it's always been. We don't, you know, why should we dispute this, right? But it's like, you know, there's a better way. You guys just don't know there's a better way. And then, yes, the other side of it being. So anyway, so he's like, okay, I got you. But yeah, I can't go there right now. You can't go with me. So yes, basically, you know, it's not just a drive-by dumping. It's not, you know, she's like, I'd like to make this your choice, but we both know that, again, ultimately, we've already made that choice so that you guys say, here, I'm going to go there.
Are...
So.
Yeah, Harry's never going to abandon Chicago.
Yeah.
And Susan can't abandon this new thing.
Especially not right now in the middle, because that's the other thing. He's like, for that split second of considering it, he's like...
She's leaving tomorrow.
Yeah, he's like, I can just get the fuck out of here and ditch all these problems, many of which are my own making. And for good, bad, or indifferent, yes. Right? You know, some of them, maybe your own making, you couldn't have got out of it. Other ones, exactly. Things that it's like, I could just say to hell with all this and, you know, but then, yeah, exactly.
Everyone's going to die.
She plans on leaving tomorrow.
Right.
And he wants to...
Well, she explains this new job is like still research and reporting, but no readers. I love that she's a spy.
Yeah.
She is half vampire 007.
Well, and again, like, you know, for all you can say, like, there's some people that are not massive fans of Susan or anything like that, and I'm like,
Those people are wrong.
yeah. Well, again, I was like, I didn't say most people. I said there's a lot of people, but again, I never really had any. And again, I like this because when she was just the reporter, he's like, she goes after. You know, that was what made her a good reporter. Is that she's like gets the scent of something, follows it through, right? So she got onto tenacity, and that and perseverance, and to exactly, you know, go
see things that most people can't.
Well, but to go the whole way, not just like, I mean, again, not like National Enquirer, which is funny because that's essentially what she works for, but, you know, not just like, oh, you know, you take the tiniest piece of something out of context and run with it and be like, this is the, you know what I mean? She's like, no, I'm going to find out what is the, you know, and find, oh my gosh, this isn't all bullshit, this is. And she's taking the same thing here, whereas she's like, you know, I found there's a problem. I can do something about it now. Like, I do have superpowers now, and, you know, this was done to me. This is being done to a lot of people that, again, are either halfway or all the way and blah, 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 blah. And exactly right. She doesn't just be like, oh, I don't know what to do. And oh my God, this is awful. You know, it's like I can take the skills that I've got and I can do what I can to help. You know, and now that I'm more advanced. I don't think advanced is quite the word I'm looking for.
Wizened.
Enhanced. That's the word I was looking for. Yes, but now that she's enhanced.
Oh, I see. Okay.
She's going to, and you know, do her job on a more enhanced level now. You know, she's like, I can still just report, but she's like, no, I'm going to take it to the next level and have it fit and see what I can.
Espionage.
And legitimately get in there. So it's like, good on
you can write a whole side story about her adventures through this. Like,
fully.
Oh, there could be all kinds of.
It's almost strange that we didn't get a Susan short story.
Susan and the Pedantic Avenger.
Just find out how square Martin really is.
Right. Not Captain Obvious. What's the other one he calls him?
Captain Mediocre.
Captain Mediocre, yeah. You know, it's like, talk about like your great foil. Like, Susan's young and beautiful and vampiric. And then Martin's just like...
Mr. Nothing Man.
Mr. Nothing Man.
Mr. Cellophane.
If
you're into musicals.
Yeah.
So the nice thing is that, you know, dead on his feet, Harry, Susan still loves him. She's like, what are you doing right now? How about you go to bed and I'll follow up your leads? Because reporter extraordinaire.
So this is the other thing is she's like, can tell, she's like, you're on a case, aren't you? And he's like, oh, you can tell? She's like, I can smell it. You've got blood all over it. So, you know, it's not even just that. Well, I can tell because
She's
tired
really keeping her cool right now. Because, yeah, like he's, you know, like vampire sirens right now.
Yeah, well, thankfully Harry was good enough to distract her with all, you know, having his temper tantrum. Yeah. And being like, you're going to dump me, and I know you can, you know, and she's like, what the fuck, Harry, that's, you know what I mean? Just like, but now, you know, like, sort of all that. Now she's like, so now.
Right.
Right? But, it's kind of funny to me. So, yeah, she does offer, and he's all like, no, I can't. And then he's like, well, I guess, like, when it happened to her, anything I could have done to help would have been. So I guess I can give her. And he's like, I don't really care about sticking to my confidentiality guns right now or whatever, right? But he's all like, it doesn't matter. He's like, I got to run down this lead now because he's like, I couldn't go to sleep anyways now after this conversation with Susan. Susan's like, let me take care of it. And he's like, okay, and goes to bed. I'm like,
well, no, I do like Butcher's choice of doing that and having her follow up.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that would the description of that alone would just be really boring. Like, how would he include that in like
It would be, I mean, you could do that and just to skip over where he says, like, so I made a bunch of calls, and you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. And I mean, again, I have a hard time living through these weekends with Harry sometimes because I'm like, I could not do half the shit you get done on the level. Like, I cannot go that long without the sleep, and on that, I'm like, I feel like I'm operating at that point of exhaustion most of the time. Drugs. Right? So to continue to push and do as much and so much physical, you know, I'm always like, God, Harry, just give him 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So I appreciate, because you're right. It's like, you can, I mean, much as the concussions, you know? It's like, again, the human body requires sleep and things like that, you know? Wizard or not, eventually the man needs to, you know, ingest some food and get some sleep. And
well, it's such a nice little bow-tied little gift later, too. Like, not only did I find the information, but I have tickets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But it is just so sweet where she's like, you know, because he's like, it's probably this and it could. But again, it's that beautiful moment of because she was the investigative reporter, she actually does have the skills to this. You know, this is where her complementary skills.
This is her thing.
Her being an investigative reporter to Harry being a private eye, a lot of overlap there. You know, not always for the same reasons, not always for the same results. Can't always move at the same, like, I don't know, permission level, you know? Like, again.
But the level 2.
Trespass.
The level 2 that, Susan's willing to do this and Harry still trusts her with it too, on top of all that.
And that, even though they've just gone through the re-breakup, the official,
there's still an established relationship that is strong.
Yeah, they're still on each other's team.
Yes. Again, you can break up with people and you don't have to hate each other's guts about it and make everything horrible. But, you know, again, they're like, that's not the reasons that took us apart or whatever. It's not like, oh my God, my crazy ex-girlfriend is such, you know, it's still Susan, it's still this. She's like, dude, I can check this out for you. And he's like, thank you. But I still do find it kind of funny that, like, the breath before that, he's like, well, I'm totally might as well do this now because there's no way I'm going to sleep after this conversation. And then Susan's like, let me do it. And he's like, no. And she's like, come on, dude, I can go. And he's like, yeah, okay. And then managed to crawl into bed.
Adrenaline keeps you awake.
Yeah.
Adrenaline keeps you going, and as soon as you don't have to be, you're like, oh, I actually was tired.
Oh,
actually,
crash.
Yeah.
Things did just calm down enough I could sleep.
Yeah, it was just kind of funny. But yeah, so
yeah, I mean, Harry and Susan totally officially broken up.
Yeah.
Sucks to suck sometimes.
This concludes our episode 10.12, Sleep is God. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.